This is QTV News and I am Mamadou Gajaga. Thanks for joining us. Our top stories. President Adama Barrow and Macky Sall left for Nigeria to attend Democracy Day on Wednesday. Amadou Sane testifies at the TRRC. Security forces were agents of brutality under Jammeh, according to Amadou Sane. Food safety a global concern. WHO estimates 600 million annual cases of foodborne diseases. Plus, in sports, Brikama United are crowned league champions. Real de Banjul and Armed Forces narrowly missed out. For more on this and other stories coming up, stay tuned. Welcome back and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. President Macky Sall and his counterpart Adama Barrow on Tuesday traveled to Abuja to attend Nigeria's Democracy Day. Sall made a stopover in Banjul to pick his counterpart. As Aliou Cisse reports, the two leaders also had a closed-door meeting.
Barrow has been criticized for the expensive private jets hired for his many overseas travels. The Gambia and Senegal are not only neighbors, but a family separated by borders. They virtually share all aspects of culture. En route to Abuja, Nigeria, President Macky Sall made a short stopover at the Banjul International Airport on Tuesday to give a ride to his counterpart, President Adama Barrow. On Wednesday, Nigeria will celebrate its Democracy Day, which was previously held on May 29, the day the military handed over power to an elected civilian government in 1999. President Muhammadu Buhari changed the date to 12 June, and many heads of states are expected to attend the event. The duo had a short closed-door meeting at the airport before proceeding. The vice president, senior government officials, and security chiefs saw the president off. The relationship between Senegal and the Gambia soured during the last few years of the regime of Yaya Jammeh. Senegal had accused Jammeh of involvement in the instability in the southern region of Casamance, which caused a diplomatic rift between the two countries, leading to several border closures. Senegal played a crucial role in forcing Jammeh out of power after he attempted to annul the December 2016 poll results. Barrow was hosted by Senegal at a time when tension was high in the Gambia, following Jammeh's refusal to accept defeat. Most top Gambian officials also fled to Senegal when Jammeh's tenure was ending in January 2017. The Macky-led government also led the regional ECOWAS force that was deployed to oust Jammeh. They also supported Gambia with logistics in the early days of the administration. Since the coming of President Barrow, the two countries have opened a new page in their bilateral and multilateral relations. In March 2017, the two governments established a Council of Ministers during President Barrow's visit to Senegal. The two leaders said it is part of efforts to deepen relations between the two countries in the areas of security, judiciary, tourism, energy, and environment. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
The second witness of the fifth session of the TRRC appeared before commissioners on Tuesday as sittings continue. Amadou Sane, a UDP veteran and former finance minister, spoke about his victimization and that of other UDP supporters during Yahya Jammeh's 22-year rule. Babukar Cisse reports.
Amadou Sane once served as Accountant General under the Ministry of Finance and also as Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Trade under the AFPRC government. Not happy with the attitude of the military junta, whom he accused of destroying the fabric of Gambian society, he resigned from his position and later joined the United Democratic Party, UDP. During his testimony, he explains the difficult atmosphere the UDP opposition party was operating under, describing the security forces under the Jammeh regime as agents of brutality.
It was more of an environment of harassment, terror against UDP mainly, other parties, but I think UDP stood out as the main party that had to bear all the brunt of the brutality of the AFPRC regime.
But before that, I want to understand much better the relationship between the UDP and the security forces around that time.
No.
Generally.
The security forces became an apparatus of oppression for the AFPRC regime. They were no longer security for the Gambia. They were agents of brutality, mainly for the AFPRC regime. In those days, I think if you call somebody a permanent secretary, he deserves the title. But with the APRC, you could see they were even putting secondary force as permanent secretaries. They destroyed the fabric of this country's administration.
Sane continued to recount UDP's encounter with the security forces at Denton Bridge during the 1996 nationwide presidential campaign, where he claimed they were tortured under the supervision of Yankuba Toure and the late Almamo Mane.
Soldiers there, mainly, I think, soldiers in arms. They were even firing, some were firing over our heads. And I think lately I recall also they even shot the tires of one of the trucks was shot. One of them was shot.
And at the time that you were stopped and told to get off the vehicles, at that point, did you notice if anyone was in charge of that group of armed men at Denton Bridge?
Yes. Let's say, I recognized Yankuba Toure and later confirmed with my colleagues, that he was actually Yankuba Toure who was present. The late, how do you call him? Is it Almamo Mane was another that we found to be there. And my colleagues will also discussed with Edward Singate was there. Okay, the first step they took was for us to undress our hats, and they made us to lie flat on the ground, on our face, and then...
How were you lying flat on the ground? Was it on your...
Everybody, you have to lie on
your stomach,
on the ground.
Were you organized in any particular way?
No, we had to lie down on the ground there, bare ground, on the bridge there. So they came on us with battens or pipes or rubber. They were beating us, standing on our backs and head beating anywhere they can. So it's a whole group that was going around beating us till they were satisfied.
2 days after the Denton Bridge incident and a few weeks before the 1996 presidential elections, Mr. Sane said he was invited to the NIA, where he was arrested and detained for 18 days, sleeping on bare floor, and only released after the elections, thereby preventing him from voting. Sane said his second arrest occurred in 2013 for allegedly writing an affidavit for asylum for a UDP supporter. During his detention, Sane said he was forced to confess, which he refused to do so, leading to his being severely tortured. A video was played for the commissioners showing him visibly shaking.
Who wants to attend this interview? Most welcome. He wrote an attestation for one officer. So that's the basis.
Sane was later arraigned before a court and sentenced to 5 years in jail. He was pardoned in 2016 by President Barrow after already serving 3 years. He and 5 other UDP members were also charged with murder in 2000 after an alleged attack by APRC supporters in which one person died. Babukar Sise, QTV News.
A $30 million grant from the World Bank has been signed by the Ministry of Finance on behalf of the government of the Gambia on Tuesday. The money is to fund the Social Safety Net project in the Gambia. Maria Tussar reports.
The Social Safety Net project's objective is to improve the coordination of social assistance and increase inclusion of the extremely poor in the Gambia. It will target 20 districts of extremely poor households. This project will be implemented by National Nutrition Agency, NANA, and the Department of Social Welfare, DSW. With the Social Protection Secretariat of the project housed at the Office of the Vice President, the latter office will provide strategic oversight and policy coordination. The validation of the $30 million grant was done at a meeting attended by delegates from government institutions and representatives from the World Bank. Maud Seka, Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Finance, says the importance of this project cannot be overemphasized, and that is an important milestone in the country's national development.
The importance of this project cannot be overstated because it's like one of its first kind in this country, where the vulnerable people are, the vulnerable and poor people are targeted, and some form of package provided for them so that at least they can also benefit from the, how to call it, benefit. They can also get their benefits in terms of basic needs, etc.
The World Bank country representative for the Gambia, Elena Imnadzi, in her speech noted that the project is firmly anchored in the Gambia National Development Plan and National Development Policy.
Note that the project is firmly anchored in the National Development Plan and the National Social Protection Policy, as it supports government's commitment to deliver assistance to the poor and vulnerable and make sure all Gambians can develop and achieve their potential. The project builds, there have been already efforts made towards fulfilling this commitment. So the project obviously builds on these efforts and takes these efforts further to the poorest districts of the country and to the poorest households in these districts.
Moduche Yasin Fall, the Executive Director of NANA and Social Protection Officer of the NAFA project, explained the mechanisms that will be used to identify the people considered vulnerable and poor, who will be beneficiaries of this project.
What will actually happen? Out of this 30 million, some will be transferred to the households that are very vulnerable. And then it is not us who are going directly into the community to give out the money. We will work with a financial service provider who will be contracted, and at the end of every 2 months, they will go out into the community and give out an amount of $1,500 to the vulnerable households. For the beginning, we're going to use Fraximin tests because we have some data from the Gambia Bureau of Statistics. They did a poverty line study, and they will look at the poverty head count and the people district by district, and from there we're able to target the districts. And then afterwards, we will go into those communities that have been identified within the districts to do the selection of the households.
Reporting for QTV News, I am Maria Tussar.
Access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food is key to sustaining life and promoting good health. Foodborne diseases impede socio-economic development by straining healthcare systems and harming national economics. The first ever World Food Safety Day was celebrated under the theme Food Safety, Everyone's Business. Jennifer Sonko has the rest of that story.
According to the WHO, there are an estimated 6 million cases of foodborne diseases annually. Almost 1 in 10 people in the world fall ill from eating contaminated food. Food safety is an increasing threat to human health. Children under 5 years of age carry 40% of the foodborne disease burden, accounting for 125,000 deaths every year. The principal scientific officer at the Food Safety and Quality Authority, Lamin Jaite, explains how the authority reduces the risk of foodborne diseases in the Gambia and the inspections they conduct, and explains some of the gaps identified by his organization.
If you go to food establishments in the country, most of them are not set up for food as food businesses, because their buildings probably, when they were built, they are not built for food processing or food manufacturing or distribution. So most of the times what they do is they rent these buildings, and then they have to adapt to certain things. So, and then when it comes to conformity in terms of food safety, sometimes you realize that the buildings are not actually ideal for that particular activity. So you have to make certain recommendations for the suitability of that whatever food is being prepared or being produced. Because sometimes, for example, you go to let's say, let me use an example of a restaurant, and you see a toilet right inside the kitchen, or a toilet right opposite the kitchen, which is not ideal, which is not according to the best practices in food safety. So a lot of issues have been happening, and sometimes you go to restaurants, you find pest infestation, cockroaches all over. So these are all issues, and then if you identify these gaps, you have to address these gaps. And then, for example, if you have pest infestation also.
He explained the difficulties they face in enforcing the law in markets, as the markets are directly the responsibility of municipalities. He did say that they are working with municipalities to enhance food safety in markets. Mr. Jaita stressed that the enforcement of the law has to be prioritized due to limited resources.
We take science-based decisions. Food safety is not as simple as people think from the outside. From the outside, people think it's all about inspection and expired products. It's way complicated than that. So when we are allocating our resources for inspection, we assess the risks and see whether, based on priority, which risks are more severe than the rest. Because, for example, if, let's say, somebody is serving, let's say, 1 or 2 people, and other person that is serving, let's say, about 100 people, when there is risks, who will cause more harm than the other? So you always have to prioritize and go for.
Vendor Mansata Sane, who did not wish to be on camera, explains that she is very careful when preparing food to sell. However, it is not possible to know whether Mansata has been following food safety regulations, as she mentioned she has never been inspected before. Meanwhile, the authority has launched a food safety information system, which it believes will assist them to efficiently enforce food safety rules. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jena Basonko.
55 personnel from the military and civil society are attending a 5-day gathering called the Civil Military Relations Seminar. The event is supported by the United States government through its embassy in Banjul. Babu Kursi reports.
The 5-day seminar is an avenue for the military and the civil society to build trust and understanding. This is the Gambia's second hosting of the seminar with support from the United States Embassy. The United States Ambassador to the Gambia, Richard Paschal, in his opening statement, said the United States was happy to be associated with the event, which aims at addressing all aspects of the relationship between civil society and security institutions in a democratic context.
We are proud to have been a partner during this very important period, and we are committed to continuing to provide support and assistance as your nation embarks on this challenging journey to reform security sector institutions. I was struck by the powerful statements at yesterday's NSP launch made by your Minister of Justice and Attorney General Tombouctou and of President Barrow's senior advisor, Mr. Maya Medfati. Both noted that while the Truth, Reconciliation, and Reparations Commission is bringing to light atrocities and human rights violations committed by some members of the Gambian security services, they all emphasized repeatedly that the vast majority of soldiers, sailors, policemen, and women remained faithful in their obligations and duties to serve the best interests of the citizens of their country. They asked us all, no, really, they demanded that we all honor those public servants and encourage them to continue that honorable, vital service to your nation. When I talk to the many Gambians I meet about their impressions of the TRRC testimony to date, I must tell you that most tell me of their sympathy for members of the security services who themselves suffered abuse in previous years. Your national leaders emphasized it yesterday as well. May I applaud those of you in attendance today and praise your continued future honorable service to your nation.
Commodore Madani Senghor expressed gratitude to the United States government for supporting the project and thanked the U.S. office in Dakar for providing the resource persons.
Our sincere thanks and gratitude to the United States Office of Security Cooperation in Dakar through Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the United States to the Gambia, for offering us this important training package. Allow me also to thank the Office of Security Corporation in Dhaka for giving us the very distinguished and knowledgeable resource persons who will conduct this training this morning, beginning today. I wish to congratulate and thank you all the participants for having been nominated and the invited guests to attend this training of civil-military relations, which is the second of its kind after the dawn of the new political dispensation.
He challenged the military personnel attending the training to share the experience gained from the seminar in order to train their command units when they return.
And I hope that by the end of the civil-military relations training program, those of you from the armed forces will go back as trainers. You will have to impart this to the troops under your command. You will have to share the knowledge. Some of us were privileged to attend similar programs, but then maybe we fell short of being trainers. But however, this time around, you have the task, you have the assignment of sharing your experiences and making sure that you gain enough understanding of civil-military relations and its importance to be able to transmit the same to those of your colleagues, fellow officers, and your subordinates in the units, to be able to have a clear understanding as you do.
Army PRO Major Lamin Sanyang said the training could not have come at a better time as the Army is trying to build a positive image.
Within the past 22 years, the relationship between the members of the armed forces, especially the Gambia armed forces, and our civilian counterparts had deteriorated to a very serious level. And with the new dispensation, it is important that we revisit, those initiatives that will help us resuscitate that good relation that we had with our civilians. That is why trainings like civil-military relations, human rights, leadership courses, etc., are being conducted by the Gambia Armed Forces. So like you said, this is the second edition of the civil-military relations training, and we are doing this in partnership with the United States Office of Security Cooperation that is based in Dakar. And they provide the facilitators from the United States Armed Forces to train our members of the armed forces, as well as other security services like the police, immigration, fire and rescue services, Gambia prison services, as well as civilian organizations like civil society organizations. The Tango has been invited. Members of the media fraternity have also been invited, and several other organizations. Because we look at the training as not only relating to the Gambia Armed Forces alone, but we need to educate our personnel as to how we relate to civilians.
55 participants of civilian and military personnel will be together for the next couple of days to interact and build a better understanding of each other's roles and responsibilities in a democratic culture. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
On Sunday, Daughters of Africa Foundation held the official launch of their Diego project. They also used the occasion as a welcoming ceremony for students of the University of West of England who are here for a 2-week exchange and projects implementation program. QTV's Ansumana Isonyasi reports.
Established in 2016, the foundation's mission is to support development in Africa through the channeling of self-leadership and the building of sustainable projects for youth and their communities. This partnership with the University of the West of England has been praised as a life-changing partnership. 450 young people from 15 communities in the Gambia are expected to benefit from the Diego project, which is aimed at providing capacity building for young people in leadership and management, film project, construction, nutrition and health, amongst others. Speaking at the ceremony, Program Manager DOA Odiri Igambre and Project Manager Famara Fati expressed gratitude to the UWE for the partnership. They said the implementation of this project will help close the unemployment gap, as participants will be provided with the skills needed for self-employment.
We've got 7 amazing projects to deliver in 2 weeks. We are working with over 400 participants across 15 different groups. And those include nurses, children in school, in St. Peter's School, staff and trainees in SOS, construction workers, and so many more.
Generally speaking, the age groups are the youth groups, because the population of the Gambia explains that we have a youthful population. And if anybody wants to develop or support Gambians, you have to concentrate or invest in the youth folks. So that is where our focus is directed, to ensure that we support these youth folks to be able to achieve some life skills that will help them in the future.
Mian Ha, the Associate Head of Department for Partnerships at the University of the West of England, highlighted the importance her university places on supporting capacity building initiatives in Africa, especially in the Gambia.
Our students come from all backgrounds, as you have seen, and they come from different social settings as well, and different diverse, multiracial group we have. University has very generously supported the whole project, from their flights to accommodation to the food, in order for them to share skills with young people in Gambia.
Speaking earlier, Pauline Bailey, Director, and Daula Law DOA Youth Coordinator, urged participants to make best use of the opportunities the project presents and to network and share experiences with their colleagues from the UWE. Ansumana Isonyasi for KTV News.
And now, in sports, Brikama United are champions of the JFF First Division League for the first time in 8 years, on a dramatic evening of football where at one point Real de Banjul seemed likely to win the crown. There was a late twist. More in this report. As the football season reached its climax over the weekend, 3 teams were still in contention to win the coveted trophy, namely Real de Banjul, Armed Forces and eventual champions Brikama United. The atmosphere at the Independence Stadium was electric when Adam Amane scored a tap-in after Mamadou Bojang's header came off the post, putting Brikama United in the lead. Moments later, Suleiman Silla silenced the Sateba fans, scoring by capitalizing on a defensive mix-up. To add to Brikama's woes, Real de Banjul came from behind to beat Marimo 2-1. At that stage, it was advantage Real de Banjul. They would have won the title had the score remained 1-1 at the Independence Stadium. In the second half, Brikama United's goal wizard Mamadou Bojang scored from the penalty spot to restore their lead. This follows Sekou Jawara's foul on Ibrahim Abaji in the box. While there was wild jubilations at the stadium, in Brikama it was a moment of sadness for Real de Banjul.
It was just very sorry for the fans, to the team, the executive and everybody who was thinking he was supporting us. So anyway, it's a hard luck to Real de Banjul, especially we are the workers. So there is nothing more I can add to that. We've just lost the week. We're going to fight for next time.
Marimo, their opponents, were not just playing for pride, but to improve their position in the final league standings.
We played poorly at the latter minute of the second half, at the first half. Yes, last 10 minutes, lack of concentration. We considered 2 early goals, which was very poor for us. Yeah, lack of concentration. I think they were very comfortable. So with the, with the results that 1-0, so we lose the game today.
Were you looking for a win?
Yeah, we are looking for a win. We play for win, because of when we win, we're supposed to be in a 5th position. So, and then last year we are at least 10th position. So we want to better our position. And then we have young players winning today and better in our position. It will help us in next year coming.
Brikama United coach Modulamin Nyasi was full of praise for his players.
Actually, first I think I have to thank both sides, GAF, for pushing Brikama United, and then again my boys Brikama United, they did wonders. They listened to the instruction. It wasn't an easy game. It's one of the toughest leagues that I ever experienced in Gambian League. Just like the Premier League of this season. So knowing going to last game, it's either you win or lose. If you win, you take the trophy. It's another pressure, but then we thank God that at the end of the day we are champions.
A man whose goal-scoring exploits had a huge significance for the title win is Mamadou Bojang.
This year I'm very happy, because this year I'm fully ready to take the trophy, so I used to train in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the night time, because I need this trophy, So this is my first year of playing this Cameroon on this event, so I'm very happy,
It must be very special scoring a goal in the final league season game.
Yeah. Today I'm very happy, it feels good, because I deserve it, Because today I even tell my coach today I will make him happy. I will try by all means to score, and I did it.
How about the confidence? You were telling the fans to be on their feet to give the team this spirit, that support.
They were keeping quiet, so I want them to give us correct so that we can play well. That is why I'm making them to give us courage so that we can.
And finally, it paid off.
Yeah. Now we are very happy, you know.
What's up for you subsequently in your future? Where are you seeing yourself in the next 3, 4, 5 years?
Really, you know, I want to be a professional player to go to Europe. Yeah, that's what I'm dreaming, you know.
Brikama United last won the league title in 2011. Following this, they participated in the CAF Champions League preliminaries, losing 4-2 on aggregate to eventual champions Esperance de Tunis. Before we end this bulletin of the news, let's take a quick look at our main news stories. President Macky Sall and his counterpart Adama Barrow on Tuesday traveled to Abuja to attend Nigeria's Democracy Day. Sall made a stopover in Banjul to pick up his counterpart. The second witness of the fifth session of the TRRC appeared before commissioners on Tuesday as sittings continue. Amadou Sane, a UDP veteran and former finance minister, spoke about his victimization and that of UDP supporters during the Yahya Jammeh 22-year rule. Access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food is key to sustaining life and promoting good health. Foodborne diseases impede socio-economic development by straining healthcare systems and harming national economics. The first ever World Food Safety Day was celebrated under the theme Food Safety, Everyone's Business. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Thank you very much for keeping us company. Bye for now. Until we come your way tomorrow, have a blessed evening.